Hey everyone, welcome to the New Jersey Libertarian Party candidate live stream. We go live every Thursday, 6:30, and if the candidates are available, we go live on Wednesdays and Fridays. If you have any questions for us, you can put it in the comments, or you can email me, message me, however you want. Even after we've gone live, you can put it in the comments and we'll answer it next time. So we aren't going to go live tomorrow because you have a full weekend of events, Vic, right? So what are those events?
Well, I'll be at the Ballard United Methodist Church at 6:30 p.m. Tomorrow in Asbury Park. Then on October 25th, on Saturday, I will be at the Randolph Gun Range at 11 a.m. And after that, I will be on Saturday again. I will be at the Toucan Restaurant in Hackettstown at 2 o'clock. And finally, on Sunday, I will be at the Asbury AME Church in Wildwood at 1:30 p.m. from 1:30 to 3:30 p.m. And then finally, I will wrap it up with by being at the Salt and Pepper Restaurant in Atlantic City at 5:30 p.m. on Sunday. So that is the plan for the rest of the week.
Atlantic City, that is far for everyone, isn't it?
Yes. Well, when people live in the South, that will not be far, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's true, I guess. I've never been to Atlantic City. I've never had a desire to, based on what I've heard and read about it, but I'll be there. The events on Friday and
Boardwalk is
Sunday.
nice. Sorry, the boardwalk is nice.
I guess we'll see. It's kind of cold now, but that's fine.
Well,
So the
yes.
events on Friday and Sunday, the one in the evening on Friday and the one in the morning on Sunday, are being hosted by a preservation society or something.
Yes, correct. Yes.
Okay, so it's like a town hall.
Yes. So yes, these are two events are hosted by the the Whitesboro Historic Preservation Project, and so there's two different organizations: the Greater Asbury Park Historical Revival Project, and the other one is the correct, the Whitesboro Historic Preservation Project. So by two different groups.
Okay. And on Saturday, I will be at the gun range with you. It is a joint campaign event. And although Randolph is not technically in my district, it's technically right on the border of District, 25? But it's close enough. I think it's fine. So that will be fun.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to it.
So speaking of guns, and, yesterday, I believe, or the day before, two people got bit by a coyote in Bergen County. And every time something like that happens, I'm reminded of how difficult it is to protect yourself in this state, either from other humans or animals. For example, and this is true of most states, with some exceptions, but definitely in New Jersey, technically you are not allowed to use deadly force to protect property, only in imminent danger to your life or a family member. So, for example, pets and other animals, even if they're livestock, even if you raise animals for food or for your livelihood, like if you're a farmer, without a permit, you cannot kill most animals if they're damaging your property, which is insane to me. So, for example, if a bear specifically, because they actually heavily penalize killing bears outside of bear hunting season. So if a bear is in my backyard, which there have been bears in my backyard, most bears don't want to do you harm, but let's just say, I don't know, it's a crazy bear, maybe he's a rabbit, I don't know. And he's clearly showing signs that he's going to attack me or one of my dogs or something. Unless I can prove that that bear was going to attack me, killing it would be very illegal. It could lead to me losing my firearm privileges. It could lead to a felony. and I think about like, okay, how am I supposed to prove that this bear wanted to attack me or some animal wanted to attack me without video footage? Because I don't have cameras in my backyard. And literally the only way you could prove it is if you let it attack you, which is insane to me. Now, luckily, things like coyotes and raccoons are considered nuisance animals. And generally, you can kill them if they're attacking your property, but there's so many regulations and so many exceptions. And for example, in Stanhope, you can't have a loaded firearm, period, 300 feet from a residence. Like, even if you're not going to use it, it just exists on your person, you cannot have one 300 feet from a dwelling. And you cannot discharge a firearm in the borough of Stanhope. It comes with serious penalties. Now they make an exception for if you're protecting life, property, or like a family member, but again, how do you prove it? Even like brandishing is considered deadly force, or like a version of it. So like if I go outside my house and there's somebody trying to break into my RV or my car and I just like flashed my pistol at them, it's considered brandishing. It's considered using the threat of deadly force against property damage or theft, which is 100% illegal, which again is insane to me. So most hunters, and even when you have a permit to hunt something, they also heavily regulate when you can go, of course, but even the timing of when you can go, what firearms you can use, what ammunition you can use, what you're supposed to wear. So sometimes you're allowed to use dogs to hunt, sometimes you're not. Sometimes you're allowed to use vehicles, sometimes you're not. It's just really, really heavily regulated to the point where people who enjoy hunting don't even really hunt in New Jersey. They go to Pennsylvania or North Carolina or whatever, they hunt somewhere else. For example, I believe I forget what animal it is, but I want to say it's coyotes. It might be coyotes or some sort of canine, maybe a fox, that you can't hunt on Sundays, which seems insane to me. Even if you have a permit, can't kill that animal on a Sunday. I mean, I would love to hear the logic behind that. I guess God is offended by hunting on Sundays. I don't know. But anyways, my little rant there about not really being able to protect yourself from anything, including other animals in New Jersey, is extremely aggravating and dangerous because, like I said, if an animal is threatening you, hissing at you, or is clearly rabid, the only way you could prove that an animal was about to harm you is basically by letting it bite you. So when I think about these coyote attacks, not just sightings, but attacks, I think about the people who have small dogs or even small children who may hesitate to defend those things because of the heavy regulation and laws associated with discharging a firearm or even owning a firearm in general in New Jersey. So I don't know if you have any thoughts on that.
Yeah, so no, I absolutely. I mean, I think it's ridiculous. I mean, if you're being attacked by an animal or an animal is destroying your property, I mean, the idea that you cannot protect your property against an animal seems pretty ridiculous to me. You have a natural right to life, liberty, and property, and of course, you have by definition, you have a right to defend your property. No, I think that is ridiculous. I mean, first of all, if you're being attacked by a bear, yes, you do have a right to self-defense, of course. That includes using a deadly weapon against the bear. I mean, obviously, if you don't use deadly force, I mean, you can get killed by a bear. So I don't know if you're. Oh, absolutely, Jamon. I completely agree with you. And it is absolutely horrible. You should be able to protect yourself and able to protect your property. Wasn't there a case? Lana, I don't know if you remember, it was years ago that a polar bear actually killed a child, if I'm not mistaken. That was maybe like a while ago.
I don't recall that, but it's not surprising. I mean, bears attack people. It is true that most bears, especially the bears that we see in New Jersey, the black bears, are smaller and they're generally not violent. You make some noise and they're going to run away, but there's always that chance that there's a bear who just is really hungry or has cubs or whatever, or even the case of coyotes. I had a raccoon who was killing my chickens, and I legally couldn't do anything about it. You can't even trap and relocate raccoons. So my only option is to call animal control and have them deal with it. Or I've also heard people call animal control about things like raccoons or foxes that are killing their animals, and they'll say, well, build a better fence. And I just think that's really ridiculous. And in New Jersey, if someone is, say you're outside of your house and someone's threatening you, or you feel threatened, you can't just whip out a gun and shoot them. You have like a duty to de-escalate or whatever, or no other option. I forget what the wording is, but basically you have to like announce that you feel threatened, go inside your home and say, if you like warn them, if you come into the house, I have a gun or whatever. Apparently you also have to do that with animals. So if I'm in my yard with my dogs and there's a bear who wants to eat us or whatever, or harm us, I can't just make a split decision and shoot the bear. I have to bring my dogs and myself inside to try and de-escalate the situation, which again, to me is insane. Like, I used to live in the South and this is just not a problem down there. If an animal is threatening you or your pets, like, you handle it. But up here, you just kind of have to deal with it. I don't know. That's insane to me.
I mean, yeah, no, thank you for sharing that, Lana. I think that's crazy. It almost like sounds like you're a police officer and trying to de-escalate. I mean, this is like a bear is about to attack you. I mean, I think it's almost like sounds like they want to treat bears like they're suspects, and you're supposed to be a police officer. That's what it sounds like. Like, de-escalate, get inside the house and get like what. It just seems strange. Like, that's such.
Well, you have to be able to reason with the bear and or raccoon or coyote because they're capable of doing that. But this is true for even like humans. You have the burden of proving that you were in immediate danger because of this animal or human. And if you can't prove that, like, you can go to jail, you can go to prison in New Jersey for things like this if you can't prove it. In the case of killing a bear, I think they might have changed that since they brought back bear hunting season. But I remember reading that it was a felony to kill a bear without, imminent danger being the cause. Like, if it's just in your yard, you can't just kill it. Same thing with raccoons. So I'm just like, okay, I guess I'll just let a raccoon eat my face, like, and do nothing about it. And, we've talked about this before with police moving up here. One of the big culture shocks, and I hate saying that because it's not like I came from another country. I just came from the South. I moved here from Texas. Was that people did not want to, nor knew how to defend themselves, either against other humans or animals, or even just handle altercations with neighbors without calling the police. And of course, like, police are just other humans. They can make mistakes. And also there's a lot of cases throughout the state. I just read one about one today about police officers just literally ignoring calls. Unfortunately, and I'm going to just summarize the story. I don't, because I don't remember all the details, but this woman was being harassed and stalked by an ex-boyfriend. She tried to report it. Of course, the police didn't do anything because they don't take harassment or stalking very seriously. And the boyfriend shows up, shoots her and somebody else who's in the house, and then shoots himself. So there's two bodies just laying in front of her, in front of this house, the yard in this house. And a police officer gets the call, accepts it or whatever they do. And then he literally went to the ATM to withdraw money. Then he gets a second call, but the same thing, firearm being discharged. He accepts it, goes over there, interviews one person, and then goes and picks up pizza. All the while, these two people are probably bleeding out, dying in their yard. And then, like 24 hours goes by until his shift ends. And then they find the bodies outside. Right. So he totally neglected his duties. My point is that you shouldn't rely on cops to take care of things. And the same thing with animal control. They're just people who work for the government who ignore calls, who don't take it seriously, who, you'll get a call and say a raccoon, killed my Chihuahua, and they won't do anything about it, and they won't let you do anything about it either. And I think I don't understand that about New Jersey.
No, yeah, no, I totally agree with you, Lana. I mean, if somebody's trying to kill your Chihuahua, I mean, as the property owner, well, as the owner of the Chihuahua, you have every right to defend, to protect the life of your dog. I mean, I would think that would involve discharging a weapon. So I don't understand what the issue is. I mean, it would be the same thing if we're talking about human beings. If a human being is trying to kill your dog, well, I mean, you would want to protect your the life of your dog, and so I don't understand this whole idea that you shouldn't be able to protect your property or protect your animals. I mean, okay, let's say you had a bunch of chickens and a fox was attacking your chickens. I mean, just kind of out of the blue. I'm just going to give an example that I think most people can see and can understand, right? Even like children. So yeah, then of course you'll be totally justified in killing the fox, I would think, right? I mean, that's just what a common sense would tell you, right? So you have a right to protect your property. Yeah, I don't understand why that should be a crime. I really don't. I don't. Maybe I'm missing something, but I really don't. I think maybe this is. I think this is coming from the idea that species are to be protected, like animal species and all that. But I mean, yeah, but not when they're attacking your animals, you're attacking your property. I don't understand. I don't understand what the issue is here. To me, this is
Well,
just.
I
You should
talked
be able
to
to
a lot
protect
of
your property. You should be able to protect your property. I'm sorry, but it's ridiculous.
Well, I've talked to people who are kind of experts, because I'm not an expert on firearms or the specific laws and all that, and I'm not in law enforcement. And their reasoning, which I don't agree with, but just so we understand their reasoning, is, for one, if you allow people to be able to kill a human being who's trying to kill your pet, which in the eyes of the law, pet is property. If you allow people to use deadly force to protect property, you're going to have people shooting other people for trying to steal their car, which, and I guess from their perspective, would be chaos, which it wouldn't, because if people were shooting people for stealing cars, less cars would be stolen. I guarantee it. But that's one logic. Also, not necessarily here where I am in Sussex County or Burlington County or some of the southern counties, but in the more congested areas, if people are just shooting foxes and raccoons as they walk by, someone could accidentally get shot. Again, that's their reasoning. I don't think that would just happen in mass if we just allowed it. And also, accidentally shooting somebody for discharging a firearm, in close proximity to a dwelling or whatever, which I don't see any of those things to be reason enough to take someone's ability to protect themselves away. But that's generally the logic.
Right. No, I understand that, but I totally, and I totally disagree with that, because you can make the same argument why one should be able to have a gun, because they could accidentally shoot somebody else during the discharging of a weapon. So no one should be able to protect themselves by that logic, because they could just accidentally shoot somebody, or where they have a weapon, the gun could accidentally go off. I mean, to me, that's totally ridiculous. And by the way, you don't need to shoot somebody for stealing a car. You can just aim the gun and tell that person to leave your car alone, get out, right? In most of these cases, I mean, person doesn't really need to fire a weapon. You just need to kind of try to scare the person off by showing a gun. I mean, with the idea that, that hopefully that this would work, right? So I mean, killing people for trying to shoot your animal, no, you just aim the gun and you tell them to, don't tread on my animal, dog, whatever that is. And that's hopefully right. It's not about shooting people for yeah, you're trying to kill my dog, I'm gonna shoot I'm gonna kill you. No, I think it's obviously if the person has killed the dog, then well, but even which is an interesting question, because I understand for a lot of people, pets are like family members, and there has to be. I do find this interesting too. Of course, if you do kill a police dog, right? That does count as killing a police officer. So
yes, because laws,
yeah,
that apply to us don't apply to them, obviously.
right. Yes.
I just read about a police dog. I don't know what happened if he just went insane or maybe he was ill or whatever, but he ended up biting the human police officer that he was partnered with in the leg. And that police officer shot him, obviously, because he was being attacked. And they're actually investigating it as a officer shooting, like, you know, an officer involved shooting because of the dog. So, and that's fine. It just, I don't know. You say, you know, well, you don't have to discharge the firearm. You can just show it, which, yes, brandishing works. It does, but it's also illegal because you're using the threat of deadly force, which is the same as using deadly force from
I think it
the
should be
perspective
legal.
of the law.
No,
Yeah, I
I
mean, I
think
agree.
it should be legal. I should be 100% legal. Absolutely. If somebody's trying to come to your house, and you know, yes, you don't have to. I think aiming a gun, you don't have to shoot the intruder. I understand different states have different laws when it comes to that, of course. But like the stand your ground laws, right? Similar types of laws, and there are other types of laws. But yeah, I would think that you know, if somebody is trying to steal your car or trying to, you know, bring it to your house, I think that just aiming. I mean, I think if the person is outside, right, I think that just showing your weapon may be effective, not necessarily discharging your weapon. And yeah, I don't think that should be illegal. It really shouldn't be illegal. I think that you know, I think the problem is, I think there are way too many prohibitions are being placed on the ownership of a firearm in the state of New Jersey. And I mean, the idea that, you know, you have a gun, but you can't have the gun with you, and you can have your store robbed, but you can't. But in order to get the gun is like some other place. There's, you know, you can't say so you can't even use the gun to protect your property from being you know, stolen, right? They have a store, and you know, because you don't have that access to the gun. Yeah, I think that makes the whole point of gun ownership kind of like pointless, because then
Right.
you
No.
can't have the gun to protect your store. Like, and to me, it just doesn't make any sense. What's the point of having a gun? So you get a permission of a gun, you keep it in your store, but you can't use the gun. Like, I mean,
Exactly. Like, they won't outright ban firearms, but they'll make it impossible for them to be used legally, and that's how they get around it. That's how they get around, you know, oh, it's unconstitutional. Okay, well, we're not banning them, but here are these regulations to keep everyone safe. And then it's basically, why even get your license? Why even get a gun? And that's ultimately what they want. They want you to just be so de-incentivized to purchase a firearm so that nobody has them. And then over time, especially in New Jersey, people have become afraid of them, you know, because they don't understand them.
I know, absolutely, and I think, yeah, this is especially very true in New Jersey, like in the city. It's more like a city environment, um, and yeah, I think that this is definitely the case, that kind of in more urban environment in New Jersey, people are not very you know, too much into like gun ownership. Seems to be, and I think we talked about it before. We did that. It's more of a kind of rural versus urban divide in the state of New Jersey. I mean, even though of course we're 100% urban officially, we're the most urban state in the country. But so even the what we consider rural areas are kind of well, we would consider rural are still urban compared to, you know, the rest of the country. But no, I totally agree with you, and I think that you know, this may have something to do with yeah, I do think that this has everything to do with kind of rural versus urban divide, because certainly if you go to some of the, like, in places that are considered more rural, you do my understanding is you do have a greater level of gun ownership, if I'm not mistaken. It seems to be those are kind of a more kind of gun friendly areas in the state of New Jersey.
Yeah. So, you know, people have to rely basically 100% on police, and we are one of the most corrupt states in the country. And our police force is corrupt, and they're protected, and there's so much corruption. Like, even like very mild things that have happened to me, I can see that there's corruption in our police force, and they disregard huge warning signs of people that are in danger, and they don't issue firearms licenses or, you know, emergency protective orders to people who are under threat. And so what are people supposed to do? you really can't trust the police here, and people don't. And then you also can't protect yourself. What are you going to do? Well, people are moving, or they'll hunt out of the state, they'll purchase things out of the state, or they'll just move, and people are moving out of the state.
Yeah, no, I know it's true. People are moving out of the state, and there's they're trying to find a state where they can it certainly would be more affordable, and it's something that we talk about all the time. Making New Jersey more affordable for people, yes, and it's definitely true. Like, yeah, if somebody wants to live in a state that's more pro self-defense friendly, New Jersey is certainly not one of them. That's for sure. I mean, there other states that people can move to that are more friendly when it comes to guns. So that is definitely the case. And of course, one should not be, if you have an intruder. I mean, waiting for the police is obviously may not always be the solution. If you have to make that decision right away, and waiting minutes and minutes for the cops to arrive. It sometimes may not be even possible to do that, because you have to act now, or ASAP rather. So so that seems to be quite a sort of a reasonable statement that I just made, but but there's still people who say that, well, you just wait for the police to arrive, whatever it is. Like, if there's an intruder breaking into a house, like, really, you should wait for the police to arrive? Like, 1 second. I mean, come on. But I definitely think that people should be able to protect their property and defend themselves in every way they can. That's you have your natural right to life, liberty, and property, and by extension, you also have a right to protect your property and your life and your liberty, of course.
Yeah, and just a little, I guess, anecdote or story time. For one, I have never had the police call on me so many times as I have in New Jersey. And I mean calling the police over really stupid things. I've had the police call on me 5 times over the almost 10 years that I've been here for parking in the wrong space. And I don't mean public parking. I mean, when I have clients and it's a congested area and everyone has an assigned parking, but nothing's marked, you're supposed to just kind of know. In some of these, close together neighborhoods, and I just park in front of someone's house and it's just an empty space, and then I come back and the police are there. You shouldn't call the police over parking disputes. It's a waste of their time and resources, and also it escalates a situation that doesn't need escalating. But one time I was walking my dog in a neighborhood, and he went to the bathroom on someone's yard, and I cleaned it up with a bag. And I guess somebody was in the driveway, and he got really mad at me. He was like, you need to control your dog and have him, go to the bathroom over there. And I'm like, well, he didn't. And I cleaned it up. I basically kind of ignored him, because what am I supposed to do? It's done. And he just kept escalating the situation to the point where he kept asking me to clean up after my dog. But I had the bag in my hand. So I don't know what he was talking about. So I was just trying to walk away. So he starts threatening me by saying, if you don't clean this up, I'll shoot you and the dog, right? Threatening me. So naturally, what am I supposed to do? I didn't have a gun on me, and I'm very far from my house. So I called the police. That was my first mistake, because they weren't going to do anything. And his wife or aunt or something starts coming out and says, please don't call the police. They're just going to make it worse. And of course I'm going to call the police, because I'm kind of trapped there. I actually was hiding behind a school bus that just happened to be parked there. So I was kind of, what else was I supposed to do? So the cops come, guns blazing, whatever. And they go into the house and they come back out all calm, and they come up to me and they were like, well, I don't think that he had a gun. And I was like, but he threatened me with it. Right. And he was like, well, did your dog go to the bathroom on his lawn? And I was like, yes, I have the bag. And he was like, well, did you clean it up? And I'm like, what is happening right now? This man is threatening me and the dog over going to the bathroom on his lawn that I cleaned up. Like, what is happening? Anyways, to me, New Jersey police are kind of useless. Like, I'm sorry to say that, but they are. despite all these laws to keep people safe, people aren't actually safe. And I definitely don't feel safe in this state. You know, moving here from Texas where everybody has a gun and a shotgun and a rifle, you know, on their person, in their house, in their office, in their car. Their dog probably has one too. I felt so much safer there than I ever have here. It's just really interesting. Okay, so we're about halfway. I just want to remind everybody that we do this every Thursday at 6:30. And if you have any specific questions or comments and statements, you can put them in the chat or email me. And then we'll answer them. About to put this banner up. So there's the banner with my email and the different websites for the candidates. So this thing with Trump remodeling the White House, it's all over the news. People are upset. Do you have any thoughts on it?
Well, I'm not surprised. For a long time, he was talking about remodeling the White House and building a ballroom. I think it's what's the word I'm looking for? I think it kind of looks. Especially. I know that they're now we're having the government shutdown, and it just appears. It's just the question is like, what is what is the need? Like, why is there a need for a ballroom? Like I know that typically when there's inauguration, the president and the president-elect and the first lady and others they go to a ballroom. I remember Bill Clinton, dancing with Hillary Clinton, having the nice slow dance after after Bill Clinton won in 1992. I don't, and other presidents have also gone to so I don't understand why there needs to be a ballroom in the White House. Like, there are ballrooms where other people have gone to, former presidents, and they have danced with their wives, with their first ladies. I don't understand why, like, a part of the White House has to be destroyed. So, and you can see it from the outside. It looks like somebody blew up part of the White House. And I really don't see the purpose of it. And of course, with Donald Trump wanting to have a triumphal arch built, in Washington D.C., I'm just like wondering, like, what's all this fascination with, building large, the monuments, and it just seems like something out of a totally different era, and certainly not from the United States. It brings to mind like some really, unsavory, let's just say, moments from world history, and I'm not one bit amused by it. Let's put it this way: how about a president who actually tries to save money for U.S. taxpayers so they can actually live in that golden age, instead of just raising tariffs, having Americans pay higher prices, seeing them deal with higher inflation, increasing the cost of living. I mean, how about that? How about like not being so fascinating about having more gold in the Oval Cabinet, in the Oval Office? And I don't I know that President Trump is a narcissist, but like, can a little bit, just being a little bit humble, like, would that just kill him? I don't. That's all I have to say.
Well, other presidents have gone there and immediately started renovating, making it their own. The problem I have with it is not necessarily are they allowed to, because apparently he is allowed to. It's more like, should you? Like, it's not really their house. They're living there temporarily for the term of his office. And I don't want to say it belongs to the people, because it doesn't also, but it's also a piece of history. And, if we just keep renovating it every 4 years, and apparently the ballroom is like twice the size of the White House itself, or maybe that's a rumor. I don't know. But to me, it just sounds like Trump being Trump, and he wants to make a big show out of something that isn't necessary in the middle of a government shutdown. Now, apparently he's paying for it, or not himself. That I think it's $250 million. He has donors and organizations or people that are funding this, and it's not coming out of taxpayer money. I'm not sure I believe that. I know he's saying that, and that's what his MAGA fans are repeating. But I mean, do we believe that it's not coming out of taxpayer money? I don't know.
I don't know either. I think I think no, I do agree with you. I mean, it is part of the White House. I just don't. I like, yeah. Of course, I don't. I agree. I mean, I don't think it's necessary at all. It's not necessary. Of course, it's not necessary. I mean, I think it's just President Trump has this fascination of having, like, when I have the biggest parade, when I have this, and it's like I don't. It's this. This is kind of like on a personal level, but why doesn't, okay? All right, look. I mean, if he was being president of the United States and he was thinking in terms of, not in terms of divisional, not in terms of making all these waves and look, I'm, making a ballroom and I'm going to build a triumphal arc. I mean, okay, I know. Listen, United States, 250 years, but like, is it really necessary? Like, is it? I don't see. There are people in this country living paycheck to paycheck, right?
Mhm.
People are struggling in the United States, and you're going to be like having this let them eat cake kind of a outlook. And look, I'm going to have all this gold. There are people struggling in this country. How about making their
Mhm.
life better? Okay. I mean, I'm not even talking about making like specific proposals, but can we do that? Like, can we just? I mean, why? You see, this is because it does look like let them eat cake, right? Before the French Revolution, you have King Louis and then his wife Maria Antoinette living high in the hog, living like royalty. Well, because they were loyalty. Meanwhile, the people were getting poorer, right? Regular people, the middle class was getting poor and were being taxed, right? In our case, right, you have tariffs, um, which are taxes, right? People are being taxed, and can we just like I don't know, not be like France in that sense? Before the 1789 revolution, because people are getting worse off. I mean, you can clearly see that people are not getting better off. Look at the record number of bankruptcies, the highest number of bankruptcies since 2020. I mean, the economy is at a standstill. It's not growing much. I mean, can we actually have a real golden age with a significant economic growth that President Trump, well, he talked about before the election. But in order to do that, you have to have policies that would allow this to happen. You can't just do more of the same and expect that there will be a golden age. There's not going to be a golden age. Certainly not with the we're what added another $2 trillion since the beginning of the year to our national debt. I mean, this is crazy. I mean, so I'm, I visually it looks. I think it looks terrible, precisely because of the federal policies that we have. And we know that people are struggling. More people are struggling. Meanwhile, up there, it's literally it's let them eat cake kind of attitude. Hey, but look, we're having the more gold added to the Oval Office. I know the president can't do that. That's not the point. The point is there are people that are struggling and they're looking. I'm sure there are people that are looking at this. Some people, I'm sure that people don't care. I know that. It's like looking at this, like, wait a minute. Like I'm struggling day to day, and look, and you have this image of just like living high in the hog, and up there, up in the top. So yeah, I don't think that's a good look, and it's does really remind me of sort of a attitude where the people like let them whatever deal with their problems. Meanwhile, they're at the top. It's going to be more of the kind of a royalty attitude. So I do find that to be disturbing, honestly.
Yeah, I agree with you that it creates this separation between them, the superior, and us, the inferior. Especially like we're in a government shutdown, and by the way, they're still taking taxes from people even though it's shut down. They're taking money from us while he's building a ballroom, and even if he's paying it for himself or found donors. First of all, I would like to know if that's true. Like, how did he convince a handful of millionaires to donate $250 million to make a ballroom? Like, who thinks that's a good investment? I don't know. That's why I kind of doubt that that's true.
I
And
mean,
I also go ahead.
they could be supporting Trump, just big fans of Trump, who gave him lots of money for his presidential campaign. I mean, it's possible. We know there's a bunch of people that they haven't directly donated millions, but through super PACs they have. So
Mm.
it's like it's so. I mean, I'm not surprised that there are millionaires that support Trump, but like I don't. this is. I just yeah. I think it's just a horrible look. there are people who are struggling, and they're and of course I know there are people who are struggling, just don't care. They're like, fine, let him do that. Let him, put as much gold in the White House as possible. Which, but like, what about the regular people? Why can't they have a better life? And I think it's not happening because the policies are pretty much the same, right? I mean, we're really going in the same direction, right? More higher national debt, higher inflation, right? The dollar just keeps losing more and more of its value, and people can see it. I mean, this year is especially. I mean, this is like it's like a free fall. So I wish there was like kind of a light in the end of the tunnel, but there doesn't appear to be. And so it's not a good look. But I think that there are people who don't care about this, and there are people who do. And so I certainly think it looks bad. That's all I have to say about that.
Yeah, and I'm not someone who's like, well, they shouldn't be able to build 250 million when I have nothing and I'm broke and I can't pay my bills. I should have that money, because that's pretty like socialist to say. But
No.
yeah, but you're right that everyone in this country is suffering. We're sending billions of dollars overseas to different wars, into Argentina and all these places. Taxpayer money, 100%. That's taxpayer money, while Trump is living it up. Sure, he found donors for his ballroom, but why can't he upgrade his own house? Why does it have to be the White House? It's just, if the White House represents the country in a way, it just, yeah, you're right. It's just not a good look. And
there's definitely a separation, a difference in the rhetoric. Because I mean, months ago, President Trump was saying how we're not taking care of the rest of the world anymore. Well, clearly we are. It's like we are. We're like, nothing has changed. On TikTok, I've heard people. I mean, this is one show's listened to. There are people who think that the United States government is now paying less money for NATO. They actually want to believe that. That's what they believe in. Not based on any evidence, but that's like in their heads. They got this idea that that somehow because of the rhetoric that Donald Trump was using even during his first term, they have come to believe that something that is absolutely not true, that the United States government is actually spending less money on NATO, which is just not true. It's not spending less money, but that's what But because when Donald Trump would be criticizing the governments of NATO, they should be spending more money on NATO. Some of these people, looks like they've gotten in their heads that the United States government is spending less money. Because in their minds, if Trump is trying to force other countries, not force them, but spend more money on NATO, that by extension would mean that our government is spending less, but we're not. So I mean, it would have been nice if we were spending less, but that's not happening. So regardless of what they may believe. So.
Yeah, well, they'll believe anything, just like they truly believe that Trump is the peace candidate, even though this ceasefire is not going to go anywhere. And like, his first act as president was, I think, bombing something. So, and you mentioned about the fishermen.
Oh yeah, he killed Donald Trump killed a bunch of fishermen. So remember he was saying that their drugs, they're bringing drugs with them, and it was revealed that he just killed a bunch of fishermen. They were just fishing, and he was actually alluding to that because he was saying, I don't think anyone will want to fish after what I was doing in that area, and he did kill a bunch of fishermen. Well, apparently, so how are they going to know that he was going to kill them, right? So it's like, because he was saying he was only going after the people who were bringing in drugs, but that's not who had drugs on those boats. Yeah, that's why you need due process, and that's why you need to follow the Constitution. You need the Congress to declare war or issue the letters of marque under price. You can't have the president claim that he's a commander-in-chief. Well, under our Constitution, he's not a commander-in-chief. He is just the president. The president only becomes commander-in-chief after Congress has declared war. So you can't claim that he was, doing this because he's a commander-in-chief. He's not. And so no surprise there, right? This is, and by the way, I just found that interesting that some people are saying like, well, I'm just going to take the president's word for it because I believe the government. Really? And it's like, no, I really believe the government. I mean, this is coming from people who never said they believed the government when Biden was president, but now all of a sudden, of course, they believe the government and they believe everything the government says. I mean, isn't that interesting?
It is, and it's incredibly frustrating because we talked about this a couple live streams ago, that these are the same people that during COVID, they were concerned about government censorship and propaganda, and forcing them to have medical procedures and this and that, and don't believe the government, and that's propaganda, and then here they are, and they're just going to believe everything. By the way,
Yeah.
these fishermen, is anyone going to be accountable for their deaths?
Nope.
Whoever made the mistake of the bad intel of who they were and what they were doing, or the person who actually made the decision to bomb them, who's going to be accountable for their deaths and their families that they left behind? Nobody,
Yeah, no,
probably.
absolutely, I agree. I think the people, the victims, their family members, they should be able to sue they should be able to file lawsuits. I think they should be able to do that. I'm so I if they do decide to do it, they should be within their right, because there's this, somebody has to deal with the consequence. I mean, pay the consequences. I think the issue is that, I mean, we have people who don't have a problem with that, because, well, the people who got killed, they're not Americans, so what do they care? I mean, this is basically the attitude that I've heard from some people. They just like don't. Well, they're not Americans, so what if they were killed? Like, what? Wait, what? Like, I just it really boggles my mind. Some of the responses you hear and you see, it's literally just like, well, I guess that if somebody kills Americans, they would argue the same thing. Well, they just killed Americans; they're not from our country, so who cares? You just kill a bunch of Americans. Like, can you imagine the outrage we would have, like, in this country, if somebody said that? I mean, really? Like, what?
Well, we do have outrage in this country when people from other countries say that about Americans, when they dehumanize Americans. There is outrage, but not when it's reversed.
Yeah.
It wasn't recent. It was maybe a week and a half ago. Reason did an article on a family who, I guess, somebody was using their IP address. I'm not very tech savvy. I don't know how any of these things work, but somebody's IP address was being pinged there. I don't know. I don't want to say anything stupid because I really don't know how it works, but they had bad intel. And so SWAT team comes and knocks down her door based on this information, throws smoke bombs, destroys everything in the house, like, cutting open couches and all this stuff. And what they were looking for wasn't there, obviously, because they had the wrong house based on an IP address that was not correct. And I reposted it just to get it some views, and I had some people saying, "Don't care, next." And I'm like, "How do you not care about this?" And they were just like, "If that's what it takes to get the illegals out and the criminals out." And first of all, I don't even know if this, SWAT raid was anything to do with immigration. I didn't read that in the article, but how do you not care that that's all it takes for the government to come bashing down your door? Is just, an IP address that happens to be at your house, and that IP address is connected to someone they're looking for.
No, yeah, absolutely. And I just want to say that, I mean, and the President Trump also, I mean, it's just not true, because he claimed it was fentanyl. Fentanyl isn't coming from that part of the world. It's cocaine. So we can't even get the facts straight. And the other thing is that, legally speaking, I mean, in the past, what you would do, you would, stop the boats. You wouldn't try to kill the people on the boats like this. What? Like, but yeah, so LeBron has a comment here. Statistically, the vast majority of drugs are coming through the border. True, but Trump has no choice but to say it's coming through the oceans, because otherwise you'd have to say that our borders aren't secure, even under his administration. Also, heads up to the stream isn't working on Vic's Facebook page.
Yeah, I got a notification just a few minutes ago that somehow it's not connected to your Facebook page, but that's okay because it's connected to your YouTube and Twitter, and it'll be fine.
Yeah, somebody.
So I there was a comment before I actually wanted to get to. I think the problem is that we have money to help these people who can't work or don't make enough money, even if they are working, but we just aren't putting money towards it. In my opinion, the government doesn't need to be putting more money necessarily to, like, safety nets. What they need to do is stop taking our money through taxes and do something about inflation.
Yeah, absolutely, because that is the biggest killer of the wealth of the American people. They are poor because of the inflation. I mean, there's no doubt. I mean, if it wasn't for the inflation, the dollar would be worth more money, and people would be economically better off. Because by the time the money is, the wealthiest people get to spend the money first, and by the time that money gets to us, it's worth less. So this is a system that works to enrich the people, the richest Americans at the very top, the people who get to spend the money first, and it works to impoverish people who are middle class, and especially hurts the poor, because the poor people get especially hurt by the rising inflation. So I think had it not been for the inflation, we would be a lot better off economically. We would have fewer poor people in this country. And it's also true that if they weren't taxing us every way, which way, certainly the people will be better off as well. But I think the inflation, the printing of the money and the value of the money, that's really hurting the people. That's really hurting the middle class, because then they cannot, whatever money they save, that money is worth less. So it's punishing people who try to save, and it's especially punishing people who are poor, because now they can save less. Whatever they do save is worth significantly less money. So it's really hurting people at the bottom. So we want to help the poor. There are many ways, different ways of doing it. But it, that would be like a big way to help the poor, a big way to help the middle class. Is just stop destroying the value of their money through inflation, because that's exactly what's been going on year after year after year. This year especially, I mean, the dollar has been losing so much value, and people, and people can feel it. Like the money that you have is unable to buy what it used to buy before, and people can see it. Besides the fact that you see the prices are rising, the value of the dollar itself is significantly less. So this is really hurting the people. And yes, I think the government can't do much about that. That's for sure. There's another. I don't know if Lana, you want to.
Yes. And there's another question, and I love this question. Love this question. Does Vic take money from lobbies like AIPAC or Big Pharma? If not, I'll 100% vote for him. Cheryl and Chitterelli, I can never say his name, take money from lobbies like them, so I'm already not voting for them. So, Vic, please let us know how you feel about AIPAC.
Oh, 100% I'm against it. I'm a staunch anti-Zionist. I've been an anti-Zionist all my life. I never could understand why anyone would support the Israeli government kicking people out of their homes and destroying people's homes. And I witnessed that as a child. I mean, this has been going on for many years. In the West Bank, they're just, you have a family living in the house, just ripping their house into shreds, bulldozing it, right? Ariel Sharon was known as the bulldozer. That was his nickname. And I never understood, why would anyone why would anyone support that? I mean, if you have any humanity in you, why would anyone support that? But that's exactly what you have certainly had politicians supporting for many years, kicking Palestinians out of their home, destroying their houses, destroying the places where they live, seizing the places where they live, and of course, killing people, and being absolutely okay with it by sending more of our tax dollars, sending more of our weapons to the Israeli government, which may I also add, it's just inhumane, it's immoral, and also it violates the Constitution. The federal government doesn't have that power to send weapons to other countries under U.S. Constitution. But on a moral level, just seeing all these people getting killed, children, I can't. For the last 2 years, it's been absolutely horrible to look at the fact that Gaza has been turned into Hiroshima and Nagasaki, literally. I mean, it really pains me to watch that.
And how about Big Pharma?
I'm sorry. So I was endorsed last year by CARE because of my staunch stance against what the Israeli government was doing. I was always for the ceasefire and stopping an end to all weapons sales, not just to Israeli government, but all governments throughout the world. In terms of Big Pharma, no, I never took any money from Big Pharma or AIPAC. They would never support me, of course, because I don't support giving any favors to any corporation, to any company, to any special interest groups. I don't support any of that. No tax breaks, no corporate welfare, none of that. I don't support any of that, 100%. So.
If you wouldn't mind sharing, do you take money from other lobbyists, and are you allowed to tell us who you do? Okay, so we actually talk about this almost every live stream, because it's something that makes me mad, and not for you, but just that we keep voting for people who don't care about your interests or what's best for you, and they're not. And I hate saying it this way because it sounds tribalistic, but they're not one of us. Like the two other governor candidates are multimillionaires, and they're also being funded by multimillionaires, corporations, APAC, et cetera, et cetera. And here's Vic and I funding our own campaigns, basically. I'm Vic's treasurer, so I know all the money that goes in and comes out. And I'll tell you something that there's two things that you can very easily look up where Vic gets his donations, or where all the candidates get their donations. The NJ Elect, so NJELEC, I think it's njelect.org or maybe .gov. And then on a federal level, so for president and Congress, it's the FEC. Candidates are required to report every single cent that they spend and take in. And so you can go to these websites, type in Vic Kaplan, Lana Leguía, Mikey Sherrill, or whatever her real name is, and their reports will come up, and you can see how much money they're getting and from who. And that's why when you do this, so that everything is incredibly transparent, and so they know where money is coming from, so that terrorists aren't funding campaigns, or foreign governments aren't funding campaigns. That's why they do it, to avoid corruption. Of course, I'm sure it still happens, and things like super PACs are kind of a workaround, for corruption. But so that's how you can do it yourself for the future. If you want to know who is being funded by whom, is by going to njelec.gov or the FEC, I guess, .gov website, and then looking up the candidates. But to answer your question, just thoroughly, neither of us, actually none of the candidates, including the party itself, has taken donations from corporations, from lobbies, even from just extremely wealthy people. Our donations either come from our bank accounts, our personal bank accounts, especially Vic's. You have personally funded your campaign, and it was a lot of money, especially for an individual who's not a multimillionaire. And so we either fund our own campaigns, or we get small donations from people who support us. $100 here, $500 there from this person, $5, $10, $20. But you can look all this stuff up online.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's very transparent. So it's
and Mikey and Jack are both receiving money from APAC, both APAC and pharmaceutical companies. That's why their whole exchange during the debate was comical, because they were pointing the finger at each other, but they're both doing it. Right? They're getting money from pharmaceutical companies. So, and like Vic alluded to, when you take money from corporations or from lobbyist groups, they expect you to do something in return for it. You can't just take money from a lobby and then that's it. You don't have to do anything they say. Of course, you're now on their payroll, and now you're, they're puppeteering you. So.
No, absolutely, Alana. I agree with 100%. That's why I was against any kind of tax breaks for Amazon in the state of New Jersey. I mean, I shouldn't be getting any tax breaks at all. It's like the state is sort of preferring one corporation or another corporation giving tax breaks. I'm totally against that. I mean, if I don't want to cut taxes, let's cut taxes for all of the people. Not give some preferential treatment to some group, because I mean this is what they do. You're absolutely right. They give donations to campaigns in hopes that once those people get elected, they'll give them tax breaks, give them preferential treatment. No, I'm totally against that. I don't want to prefer some kind of a corporation. Let's help out small businesses. Now we are one of the least business friendly states in the country. Let's do that. Let's make it easier for people to start their own small businesses, instead of trying to give preferences to these multi-billion-dollar corporations. I mean, this is absolutely horrible. And what does that do? When the government does those types of things, it tries to give preferences. It hurts the little guy. It's the little guy that gets hurt, right? Because it really undermines competition when the government tries to play winners and losers by giving preferences to large corporations.
Yeah, and you also, it's not just governor or presidential races. You also have to pay attention to your local races, because depending on how big your town or city is or how corrupt it is, your mayor or your city councils or even like school board can sometimes be incredibly corrupt and be taking donations from lobby groups. I know it sounds insane for like a school board candidate, but there have been cases of this in the bigger school board races, mostly like in Morris and Bergen. They tend to have big school boards. Um, and even like the mayoral race in New York City, like some of those candidates are incredibly corrupt and are taking millions of dollars from people that they shouldn't be. And so you have to pay attention every election. It's kind of exhausting, actually, and I understand why, people who have families and jobs and other obligations can't really pay attention to who's running for office and who's taking money from who. But it's important that, at least I would say, starting a month before an election, even if it's just a local election, is to really dig deep into candidates, and not just look at their websites and browse their Twitter feeds, but look into their history and also look up their campaign candidate committees on either the FEC or the NJ elect, and you can see like what kind of person they are based on what they're spending, how much they're spending, and who's giving it to them. So
Yeah, no, Lana, absolutely, totally agree, 100%. Yeah, definitely know well, generally the people you're voting for know what they stand for and know, who are the people that are donating money to them. I think definitely know your candidate is certainly a good rule of thumb. Learn about the candidate, before you cast a vote. So many people, well, there are people who don't do that. There are people who do that. Certainly, having voters that are informed, I think that is important, because the more informed the voters are, I think the better choices they will make. Even again, it may be the choice I disagree with, but if that is what the voter wants, that's the person that the voter should be able to vote for. And somebody who supports democracy, I think we should have as many choices on a ballot as possible, instead of having the state government, as we've seen this year, try to limit the choices that people have for the office of governor, not just governor, but for any other office for that matter.
yeah, don't get me started on ballot access barriers. Okay, we already hit an hour. We're going to talk for another hour about ballot access, but we can always talk about that tomorrow. Okay, so it has been an hour, so I think we're going to end it. If you have any last thoughts, Vic, any last statements before we log off?
Well, no, I just want to say thank you for all of your wonderful questions. I think they're all great. Thank you for posting them, all the wonderful comments and questions that you've had, really. And I just want to say that please visit my website at vic4liberty.com, vic4liberty.com at the bottom of the screen. Also, Lana Leguía, who is running for state assembly, lanaleguía.com, and also Dustin Maggard at Dustin4liberty.com. Please donate. And please, volunteer. We're definitely looking for volunteers. You can sign up for my campaign at vic4liberty.com, and would love to have you volunteer for our campaigns as well. So I think there's that final question at the bottom there. How do you often?
Yeah, I see it. How often do you guys do these live streams? So at a minimum, we do them every Thursday at 6:30. If the candidates are available, we also do it Wednesday and Friday at 6:30. Sometimes they're not available. For example, tomorrow Vic has an event that I'm also going to be at in where is it? Asbury Park? Is that where it is?
Asbury Park.
So we're not going to go live tomorrow, but I'll be uploading videos of his town hall and pictures and things like that. And then Vic has events all weekend. But, if you guys want to schedule like a private Zoom with Vic or I, or phone call, that's always an option. Or you can send an email with, questions that you have, or just, tune in next Thursday. Hopefully we can go next Wednesday. I don't think there's anything going on that we have. So I think we should be able to go live on Wednesday at 6:30. So anyways, we will end it here, and everyone have a good night, and I will see you on Wednesday next week, 6:30. Good night.
See you next Wednesday. Good night. Thank you so much for your question. Good night.